Hey everyone, and welcome to the video. So today what we're doing is we're taking a look at how anybody can start YouTube in 2021. As somebody who started YouTube last year, right at the point of lockdown, so it was around about the 4th of June 2020, I believe that's when this particular channel was actually started. I thought I had a good insight as somebody who's basically new, and rather than going off the advice of channels that have basically been running for years and years, or channels that literally just churn out the same kind of videos, in this video what I'm going to do is give you actual tips and tricks in terms of how I went from 0 subscribers to over 2,000 in less than a year. So there's 4 key areas that I'm going to concentrate on, and they are broken down as follows. So firstly, we're going to discuss setup. Secondly, we're going to discuss the content. Thirdly, we're going to discuss interaction. And the fourth one is what type of videos do well and which ones basically you want to probably avoid until you're at least a little bit bigger. Let's kick straight off. We'll start with setup. And the most important thing of any YouTube video is the audio. It doesn't matter what your production skills are like with regards to videography. If your audio is bad, people will not watch your videos. It's as simple as that. I've had videos where people have clicked off instantly, basically because you can't hear what anybody's saying, people will just click off it. So audio is the primary thing, and audio doesn't need to be complicated. So here we have a very simple lav mic, and this just goes directly into the lightning port on the iPhone. So this particular microphone I believe cost me less than £10. In terms of setup, the very first thing I would advise anybody to invest in is either a lav mic or something very similar, because what it does do is it gives you a lot of flexibility in terms of getting very good audio at a very cheap price. Now, next to the actual lav mic and obviously the audio, the next thing will be what type of setup you're using. So obviously if you already have a digital camera, DSLR, full frame, micro four thirds, any of these types of cameras, by all means go ahead and use them. But the easiest way for you to actually start a YouTube channel is basically with your smartphone. And the reason for that is most phones, I would say probably around 2017 onwards, will do 4K. You don't need to film in 4K, but obviously the higher the resolution, the more likely you are to get those people that really want those high-end, high-quality videos. Plus, it gives you a bit more headroom for videos later down the line as well. So firstly, use your smartphone. Obviously, this being an iPhone, this cable plugged into here basically only cost me what, £10 on top of whatever smartphone you've got, and you're ready to go. Now, the good thing about smartphones now, and especially the YouTube app, is that you can upload directly from the phone to YouTube in 4K, and it'll be basically full resolution. You can also do HDR. HDR is a little bit more complicated, so I will leave that for another video, especially if you're going from the iPhones, because their footage is not very easy to deal with. But essentially what this does is it gives you access to upload videos using your existing equipment. If you did need some sort of steady shot, then this particular tripod, I purchased this probably around 15 years ago. This is just a very cheap basic tripod off Amazon. I think I paid about £15 for it, maybe not even that back then. The mount that I used to use is this one that's actually on this tripod. This is a very similar thing. So this I've actually done a video on my channel. This whole kit was probably around about £10 or £15, and the thing I liked about this one was the fact that it's spring loaded, so it's very quick in order to put your phone in and then take it out again. Obviously I purchased this whole set literally just for this tripod attachment because it is so sturdy. Alongside that, you can also go camera rig type setups. So on the left I have, well, on your right, I have a very cheap, I believe this is a Ulanzi one. This is plastic. Once again, this was probably around £10 to £15. And the one on my right, your left, was the newer, I believe. And this is nice sturdy metal. I'm not a fan of the actual phone holder part, but it does the trick, and this comes with cold shoe mounts, so you can basically add on lights, microphones, anything that you need to do. Use your phone, don't spend money on additional equipment. If you want to spend money and you have any spare cash to actually spend it on audio. So initially I would recommend just a simple lavalier mic. If you do have a bit more cash, then go down something down the route of a wireless kit similar to this. So this is the Rode Wireless Go. If you're on a budget and you can only afford a 2 microphone kit, then this is the kit that I would recommend, for the simple reason that it is the most reliable. So whenever you start recording using these, you know you're going to get good audio because you can see everything on the display. It only has 3 input levels, so in terms of your gain, so it can be a little restrictive in terms of that, but it just means that you need to bump up your volume a little in post. If you do have a bit more money to stretch, then I would recommend the Saramonic Blink 500 Pro. The only reason I would suggest you going for this is if you ever think that you're going to need more than one transmitter. So if you're going to do interviews or anything like that, this particular kit comes with 2 transmitters and 1 receiver, which just means that you can interview 2 people, or you can be the interviewer and you can interview somebody else, and basically you can each have a microphone. So basically it just means it's a bit easier to deal with the audio. And as I say, the audio is the main thing. Second to the audio is your lighting. Now lighting, I have some studio type lights set up at the moment that are actually lighting me from both sides, and this is something that you might want to invest in once you actually start doing, if you do any type of unboxings or anything like that, just to get a uniform light, especially during winter times when lighting can change quite a lot throughout the day. Primary use, I would say make use of daylight sunlight, because it will light you in a very natural and very pleasing way. However, if that is a little bit more complicated in terms of the room where you want to actually make your videos, then obviously go down the route of you can pick up these types of LED lights very simply, very cheap. This is a Ulanzi light that I've actually got quite a few of. I've got about 6 of these, and the good thing about this particular one is it's RGB. So not only is it white, it also changes color, and basically you can choose any color from this spectrum on the back, which is pretty much every single color. So you have basically 360 different colors that you can take out of this one light. As I say, lighting isn't something that is too important. You can basically leave that until you're a bit more established and you're a bit happier with the content. Initially, I would say the key thing is audio. Get your audio right, get your lighting a bit better just by making use of daylight whenever you can, and any existing lights basically positioning. There's a lot of videos, tutorials on YouTube about how to position lights in terms of lighting subjects, as well as basically people, talking head videos, and just making use of existing lamps and things like that. So there's no need to rush out and buy more equipment. That's going to be a theme of basically this video, where make use of what you've already got. Just the last thing on the setup side of things is obviously if you're not using an iPhone, even on Android, I believe there's still a lot of universal type of free downloadable video editing softwares. So the video editing software that I used to use on my iPhone, which up until probably last November, all of my videos were filmed on my iPhone, they were edited on my iPhone, and they were uploaded straight from my iPhone to YouTube as well. So obviously the one other thing that you need for your setup is a reliable internet connection. So as long as you got a half decent upload, it should mean you're okay. I used to use LumaFusion. If anybody out there is wanting a paid app for video editing that you can use for personal videos as well, then yep, LumaFusion is probably the best one that you can get. However, there are a lot of free options as well, so obviously do check them out as well. iMovie on the iPhone, it can do the job for the most part, until you want to get into a little bit more complicated sort of timelines, if you like. Right, so that's the setup side of things, and as I say, all of this type of equipment, it's not very expensive, but I would say start off with as basic as you can go, and then just build up as and when you can, or when you need to, basically. Next thing, so your content. So this is kind of contradictory for my videos, because my videos tend to be very long, but basically the shorter the video, the better it'll actually do. So on YouTube, probably the average video between 3 and 8 minutes is the sort of target sort of range that you want to go for. Obviously with videos like this, where I'm trying to explain things, or review videos, more in-depth videos, it's not always possible to bring that time all the way down, but ideally, if you're starting out and whatever the subject matter might be, try and aim for between 3 and 8 minutes, and that's where most people, if they see a video, they're more likely to click onto it, and your retention time will be better. Basically anything beyond 8 minutes, what you'll probably find is your average viewer time isn't actually above 8 minutes anyway, so people will end up skipping through. Obviously, if you do any long videos, then what you can also do is add time codes, and then people can pick and choose the content that they want to actually concentrate on. Next thing, so in terms of your content and actually getting views, there's two things that are basically key. The first of those is your thumbnail. So you need to upload custom thumbnails for every single video. Don't rely on the existing video that's captured and the screenshots that it gives you from the uploaded video, because that will never catch the eye unless it's something really unique. Always go with a custom thumbnail, and this can be done through loads of different apps. I actually use an app on the iPhone which is called Fonto. It's a free app. It does come with ads, so after you've actually created your picture, essentially, it's not a thumbnail app, it's just a photo editing app, and after every single time you export your photo, it will show an ad, but you can live with that. It's not too unmanageable. The next one is your title. So especially when you're new, this is more a case for people that are new. Once you've been established for a little while, then you can get a little bit more creative with your titles. But initially, the way that you have to look at YouTube is it's a search engine. So at myself, as well as everybody else generally, when you're not sure about how to do something, you'll go on YouTube and you'll search it. So that's the mindset that you have to have when you're naming your videos. So for example, if I was to do an iPhone tutorial, I would name it how to, I don't know, change your wallpaper on the iPhone, and that will then show up in the demographic, in the search criteria that people will actually use. So initially, when you're starting out and you're new to YouTube, think of what somebody would search for when they're searching for that particular video, because your channel will not show up. My channel, even now, if I search for the exact title, sometimes the video that I've actually posted won't show up until the second or third page. So you have to remember that, and you have to try and put your title and your keywords in your description as accurate and as focused as possible to enable people to actually find that particular video. Right, so the next major topic is interaction, and this is more in terms of how I actually built my channel, essentially. So I started out, my channel was created on the 4th of June, and by September I was already monetized, so I was already past 1,000 subscribers. Now that doesn't sound amazing, because there's channels that literally get monetized overnight and they might have millions of views, and my channel in comparison doesn't have a lot of views. What I did do was I made content, firstly, that I enjoyed making, and secondly, I made content that is more of a long run. So in terms of views, most of these kind of videos will keep getting views years and years down the line because of what they are, the type of content it is. So basically, in terms of building your channel, the number one tip I can give you is interaction, and that is basically replying to comments. Reply to as many comments as you possibly can. Depending on how well your videos do, what you might find is you get inundated with comments depending on what the actual subject matter is. So obviously then you need to pick and choose, and also obviously filter out all the trolls and the trash, essentially. There's a lot of spam messages that get posted on virtually every new video that's ever uploaded. So you do have to kind of filter through all of that, but once you do, reply to as many people as possible. I personally like helping people. That's why I've always found that you have a little bit of a back and forth. Maybe somebody's got a question, you do your best to try and help them. Even if you can't solve their problem, generally what that person will do is they will end up subscribing, just because they realize that this is somebody that is genuinely just wanting to help out. Even if they're not 100% sure, the one thing I would say is don't ever blag it. So obviously if you don't know something, just say you don't know. Maybe point them in the direction of another channel or another source, just to confirm any information that you have also given. But don't blag it, because that basically will just backfire and it'll hurt you in the long run. Secondly, ask people to subscribe. So initially, when you're new, nobody really thinks, when you go on YouTube and you're watching videos, nobody's really thinking about that subscribe button initially. So be it at the start of your video, the end of the video, middle of the video, wherever you want to do it, just make the point that obviously you are looking to build a channel, so it would help you if people like the video, and subscribed, and obviously left any comments, constructive comments that will actually help you in the future to improve the channel. Third one is something that you may want to stay clear of initially, but eventually once you've been going for maybe 3 to 6 months, I would say take a look at the analytics, just to figure out firstly which videos are getting views, secondly where those views are coming from, the area, so the geolocation, but also the method by which people are viewing it. So whether that's directly through search, whether it's recommended from other people's videos, other channels, other types of videos that are in the same genre, if you like, or the same niche, and maybe just reach out to some other channels as well, see if any of those, because they've done similar videos, whether anybody wants to actually do a collaboration. That is something that does help channels. I've not personally done that myself, just because of the content that I post and how I post it, but that is something that does work very well as well. And lastly on this particular topic is take feedback. So don't just shut down every negative comment that comes your way. There are a lot of trolls on YouTube. I would say probably 90% of the comments that you get when you're new will be mainly trolls, but 10% of those will be from people that genuinely use YouTube quite a lot, and they can give you guidance in terms of maybe where your video needs to improve. So you might have bad audio in one particular video, you might have bad lighting, you might have things out of focus. Take feedback on these kind of things, but also on the content that you're filming as well. So if you do get something wrong, then acknowledge that and basically just take that on board as well. So that's the last sort of section in the interaction part. The final one, and this is more of a sort of tip and suggestion really, and this is the videos that tend to do well, and this is generic across pretty much every niche. And the first one is any type of versus video. So for example, this light versus this light, or this cage versus this cage. The reason these videos do well, and the reason these videos will actually build your channel very quickly, is because somebody might go on YouTube and they might search for this cage, or they might search for this cage. Now if I'd only named that particular video the newer cage or the Lanzi cage, then my video may not have got as many hits. Whereas by doing a versus video, you're essentially pulling in two lots of demographic. You're pulling in two lots of people that may have been searching for something completely different. So for example, right at the start of me starting my channel, I did a comparison between OLED and QLED. Now I don't have a QLED TV, but I could talk about the differences between the two. So that's the kind of thing where it will actually pull in a lot more views, and it will maybe open up your channel to people that ordinarily might not have clicked onto it, because they might be, as is the way with YouTube, everything is very eco-centric. So basically, if you're in the Apple ecosystem, Android users will generally stay away from you, and vice versa, or they'll come on your channel just to hate. Now if you can do a comparison video, generally that's where you kind of bridge that gap and you can bring more people into your channel essentially. The other sort of video for me anyway that's always done well is tips and tricks. So be that for iPhones and jailbreak videos, things like that, or whether they were tips and tricks for the TV, the soundbar, any of these kind of things, tips and tricks videos will always do well. Maybe not necessarily straight away. Some of these videos you are playing the long game. So a lot of my videos, basically I'm banking on the fact that these videos are going to keep getting views year after year after year, and that is pretty much how my channel is going. My highest viewed videos probably weren't posted until maybe a few months into my channel sort of coming about. But they're the videos that are still getting the most views. Even today when I'm posting videos on new tech, those old videos are still getting me loads and loads of views. So obviously it always helps, because coming back to that first sort of section where in terms of content, it's a search engine. So how-tos and versus videos will always do well. Now beyond that, obviously you have to look at what type of niche your channel wants, or you want to go down in terms of your channel. So obviously you have channels set up purely for computers, you have channels set up that purely concentrates on phones, purely concentrates on cameras, TVs, audio, all these kind of genres. Now you don't necessarily have to tie your channel into one particular genre. When I first started my channel, it was basically primarily and only about my TV in the background there. But that's not what I wanted to restrict myself to. However, what you may want to do is, if you definitely have two very different sort of niches. So for example, I'm also into car detailing, and I've done several detailing videos that don't really take off on my channel because most of my subscribers come for tech. Now in that sort of scenario, what you may want to do is set up a second channel, bearing in mind that obviously you are still pretty new. What you may want to do is any of those kind of videos, initially put them on your main channel, and then later on, once you get big, once you get enough subscribers and you find that you've got subscribers that are subscribing for both kinds of content, that's when you can basically split the channels and basically ask people to go and subscribe to whichever type of content suits them better. But initially I would say keep everything focused on one channel, just because it makes it easier for you to see which videos are doing well and which videos are maybe not doing so well. Now when it comes to YouTube, just going completely off script now, so I do YouTube because I genuinely enjoy the process of firstly trying out new tech, trying out new videography kit, obviously iPhones, everything to do with those. I like helping people out, so all those kind of tips and tricks, how-to videos, the jailbreak tutorials, all those kind of videos, generally I enjoy making them. And one thing that I just missed off is when it comes to the equipment, make use of all the tools that are available on your device as well. So for example, a lot of my videos were created simply by doing a screen recording. You don't always need this type of talking head or camera shot down on the phone in order to record it. If the video that you're making just needs to focus on what's on screen, then just do a screen recording and upload that. There's a very, very high number of people that use YouTube primarily or solely on their iPhone, and having a vertical video through a screen recording isn't necessarily going to be a bad thing. Obviously it doesn't cater to those who want to watch that content back on a normal screen, a laptop, a tablet, or on a TV, but it still caters for a lot of people and probably the majority of YouTube viewers nowadays. So if your video can be made just by doing a screen recording, some of my most popular videos have been 1 or 2 minute screen recordings that I've then edited on the phone, uploaded. One of those videos I even did whilst I was at work on a break, so I literally filmed the video, edited it, and uploaded it straight whilst I was on my break, done within 10 minutes. And that video, I believe it got a couple of thousand views as well, and obviously it's still up, so it will still keep getting views until I decide to take it down. So yeah, make use of the tools that you've got. Whilst you may want to go down the route of, in terms of the niche that you've chosen, in terms of your profession or anything that you're actually good at, that does work well. So for example, if you're a builder, then make videos about doing building work and just little tips and tricks, and those kind of videos work out really well, and generally over the long term they will do really well as well. However, what you may find is eventually you'll hit that point where it stops being fun, and that's where I believe if you start out in a genre or a niche where everything that you're doing is new and exciting and is fun, then that will keep you motivated, because everybody will hit a wall eventually. I did myself. I produced, I believe it was over 300 videos last year, which is a crazy amount of videos considering that's less than what, 9 months, 9 months. A lot of those were very, very easy to produce. So as I said, they were literally screen recordings, and sometimes I was creating 2 or 3 videos per day, and I would do it in such a way where I would queue the videos. So for the whole week I would literally have 1 video coming out every single day. I'd probably say that's too many. Ideally you're probably aiming to do maybe 2 to 3 videos a week, ideally, just to give enough space between each video for your viewers to actually catch up again. But there's a lot of vlog type videos that do really well, and they can be posted daily, and those ones obviously like this, it's literally just a talking head, so nothing really complicated in terms of setup or anything. You don't even really need any lighting setup. You can literally just go handheld, phone in hand, and do those kind of videos. And obviously the stabilization on most smartphones nowadays is so good that you don't even need to think about gimbals or anything like that. My personal advice would be to go down a niche or a genre where you enjoy it, because that way in the long run you're still going to stay motivated. if you do hit the wall, take a break and then come back refreshed. Don't keep trying to produce videos when you're not quite there, because basically your viewers will be able to tell, especially anybody that's subscribed. And the way that you need to look at videos is, for every video that you post, essentially you want to be pulling in more and more subscribers. You want to pull in more and more views. Not every video will do well straight away. That's one thing that you need to remember. The second thing that you need to remember is never compare yourself against existing channels, even if they're in the same niche as you, because what you have to remember is those channels have not only had a head start on you, but they've maybe started out at a time when there wasn't as much competition. Essentially what you need to do is take your videos and look at those in terms of your views, in terms of subscribers. Don't compare it with other people. Literally just track your own progression. I was told before I started my channel that the average time to get 1,000 subscribers is roughly between 1 and 2 years. I believe right now I'm on something like 2,120 something. So yeah, that's more than I would have expected initially, but it doesn't come necessarily all right from the start in a steady progression. You'll have odd videos that just take off, and they will then continually pull people in all the way down the line. So the way you need to look at it is, don't take too much interest in terms of your subscriber count, and don't get depressed essentially, because occasionally you will find that you've got videos that are doing really well, and then you'll put one video out and it'll just completely bomb and it'll have virtually no views, and you just can't get your head around it. But that is the YouTube algorithm. That is how it works. Until you have that subscriber count and you have that core base of people that watch your videos time and time again as soon as you post them, essentially you have to remember it's a search engine. So if you've titled something really obscure, maybe how you were feeling that particular day, and nobody's searching for that particular title, or even searching, because a lot of people literally just go on YouTube and go off the recommended. If that video isn't recommended, it's not going to get views. If it doesn't get views, it's not going to pull in subscribers. So obviously go back through the video, use the tips and tricks, but essentially it's a journey where you just need to have fun. Just enjoy the process, and as I say, if you hit that wall, just stop and look back at what motivated you initially. Maybe things have changed, maybe you've exhausted all the possible avenues in terms of that particular niche or genre, and that's where, if you do something that you enjoy, you will continually keep evolving those types of videos, and hopefully it will make your channel successful. If you haven't already done so, please do subscribe to the channel. This is the kind of video that I'd like to do going forward as well. So any new tips and tricks that I pick up, or just general advice in terms of editing, in terms of different softwares, things like that, some of those you can already find on the channel. Some I'll still be producing in days and weeks to come. But yeah, if you haven't already done so, please do subscribe to the channel. Also hit that bell icon, that way you are notified whenever I post a new video. And I'd really appreciate if you gave the video a thumbs up as well. And other than that, thanks very much for watching.